The cup in your hand looks simple, dark, warm, familiar, but the truth is almost impossible to believe. Before that first sip ever reaches your lips, your morning coffee has already traveled farther than most people do in a lifetime. It has crossed jungles, mountains, oceans, and borders. It has passed through the hands of dozens of strangers, and it has survived a journey through 17 countries over nearly 6 months, just to arrive at your kitchen. Because coffee doesn't begin in your cup, it begins in the mist. High in the mountains of Ethiopia, before sunrise, farmers walk through rows of glossy green trees, heavy with bright red cherries. The air is cold, the ground damp with dew. These cherries look harmless, almost like berries you might find in a garden. But inside them are the seeds that fuel half the planet's mornings. Each cherry is picked by hand, one by one, thousands per day. A skilled picker moves quickly, filling baskets with fruit that will soon begin one of the strangest supply chains in the modern world. But here's the first twist most coffee drinkers never hear. The beans inside those cherries can spoil within hours. If the fruit isn't processed quickly, the flavor is lost. Entire harvests can be ruined overnight. So immediately after picking, the cherries are rushed to local washing stations scattered across rural hillsides. Plus, small concrete channels carry water flowing down from mountain streams. Here, the cherries are dumped into large tanks where the real transformation begins. The outer fruit is stripped away. Fermentation begins. For nearly 2 days, the beans sit submerged in water while natural enzymes break down the sticky layers clinging to their surface. Workers constantly monitor the tanks. Too little time and the flavor remains harsh. Too long and the coffee becomes sour. When fermentation is complete, the beans are washed again and spread across massive drying beds under the sun. And now the clock starts ticking again. For the next 2 weeks, workers rake the beans constantly, turning them every few hours. If rain appears, tarps are pulled over the beds within seconds. Too much moisture invites mold. Too much sun cracks the beans. Here, the goal is precision. When the beans finally reach the perfect moisture level, they no longer look like coffee at all. Pale, green, odorless. This is how coffee actually travels the world. Not roasted, not aromatic. Just quiet green seeds. From here, the beans are packed into thick burlap sacks weighing around 60 kilograms each. Hundreds of sacks are loaded onto trucks that rumble down narrow mountain roads toward regional export hubs. But Ethiopia is only the beginning, because your morning coffee rarely comes from just one place. Modern coffee blends are global mosaics. A single bag might contain beans from Ethiopia, Brazil, Colombia, Guatemala, Indonesia, Vietnam, and several other countries combined for flavor balance. So the journey multiplies. Ships begin moving. From the port of Djibouti, and containers loaded with Ethiopian beans cross the Red Sea. From Brazil's massive port of Santos, mountains of coffee sacks are stacked inside cargo vessels bound for Europe and North America. Vietnam's coffee leaves Ho Chi Minh City. Colombian beans travel through Cartagena. Thousands of containers filled with nothing but green coffee drift across the oceans at any given moment. Each ship can carry nearly 20 million pounds of beans. And during these long voyages, something remarkable happens. Coffee must remain stable, dry, untouched. Temperature swings, salt air, and humidity can destroy entire shipments worth millions of dollars. So sensors track conditions constantly as ships pass through the Suez Canal, cross the Atlantic, or round the Cape of Good Hope. Weeks pass, ports change. Containers are unloaded in places like Hamburg, or Rotterdam, New York, Singapore, and Dubai. But the journey still isn't finished. In fact, the most critical transformation hasn't even happened yet, because green coffee has almost no smell. All the aromas people love, chocolate, caramel, citrus, smoke, are still locked inside the bean. To release them requires fire. Roasting facilities receive shipments from across the globe. Massive rotating drums heat beans to temperatures above 200 degrees Celsius. Inside these drums, chemistry explodes into life. Sugars caramelize, oils surface, pressure builds. Then comes the sound roasters wait for. The first crack. It sounds like popcorn snapping. a sign the beans are expanding as trapped gases escape. At this moment, the coffee begins developing the flavors drinkers recognize. But roast it too little and the taste is grassy. Roast it too long and everything turns bitter. So master roasters watch closely, adjusting heat by seconds. Entire flavor profiles are decided in minutes. When roasting ends, the beans are cooled rapidly. Now the scent fills the air. Rich, sweet, familiar. For the first time since leaving the farm months ago, the coffee finally smells like coffee. But there's another secret. Freshly roasted beans release carbon dioxide for days. If sealed too early, bags can explode. So special one-way valves are added to packaging, allowing gas to escape while keeping oxygen out. Only then does coffee move again. Trucks carry the roasted beans to warehouses. Distributors ship them to supermarkets, cafes, and offices across cities thousands of miles away. At this point, the beans may have passed through Ethiopia, Djibouti, the Suez Canal, Italy, Germany, when in the United States, or Brazil, Panama, Mexico, and Canada. 17 countries isn't unusual. 6 months isn't unusual either. All for something most people finish in 10 minutes. And the final transformation happens quietly in kitchens everywhere. The grinder roars. For a brief moment, the beans become fragrant dust. Hot water rushes through the grounds, dissolving oils and compounds formed during roasting. What pours into the cup is the final stage of a chain involving farmers, truck drivers, dock workers, sailors, chemists, traders, and baristas across half the planet. A global relay race hidden inside a morning routine, which makes that first sip something different. It carries Ethiopian sunlight, Brazilian soil, Indonesian rain, Atlantic storms, roaring cargo ships, and the careful timing of a roaster watching for a crack inside a steel drum. All condensed into a small, steaming cup on your table, and tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings and the world still feels half asleep, that same impossible journey will begin again, somewhere far away, in the mountains, in the mist, with someone picking a single red cherry by hand. So the next time you take that first sip of coffee, remember how far it traveled to reach you. And if stories like this make you see everyday things a little differently, subscribe and tell us in the comments where in the world you're drinking your coffee right now.